And we're back. We always say we're back, but yes, it's true. We are back for another episode of the Sports Bag Bros podcast. Today's Tuesday. I know we shouldn't date ourselves, but today's Tuesday. Why not? It's after Monday Night Football.
Right? And we normally don't say things like this, but subscribe, help us out, share, do whatever you can, help us out. We want to grow. Leave comments, feedback. Tell Trav he's full of crap. Tell me I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's probably why they're not subscribing.
Anyway, let's get into it. Eagles suck now. What happened?
Yeah, well, you know what? Call it what it is. At this point in the season, we see how much it matters. We saw what was on the line. We talked about what was on the line with this game. Prevent that 3 in a row. Well, they lost the third in a row, and they lost it to a Seattle team who was playing with a backup and Drew Lock. So now what do we have here? I mean, Jalen Hurts certainly didn't look well, but he had a built-in excuse. He came with Big Dom after almost not playing at all because he was sick.
Right. And I don't know what that's about. Big Dom, he was wrong for putting his hands on what's his name the other night, but he's banned from the sidelines. Now he's up in the suite. He's probably better off. I'm sure he likes it better up there. Drinks and food and warmth and whatnot, but whatever. But the Eagles, it looks like they have serious issues now because when the 49ers lost their 3 in a row, Deebo Samuel was hurt.
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey was gimpy. Trent Williams was hurt. Who's out for the Eagles now?
No one's out. It's just Jalen Hurts is out of sorts.
Right.
Throwing 2 picks yesterday, not even getting 150 yards in the air. He's just not looking the part right now. And I know how Philly fans are. We all know how Philly fans are. It's well documented in the way they act. And they're unforgiving. They'll be your friend, but they'll be your biggest enemy. And it's not like big bro, little bro. You can't talk about our guy. They'll let anybody talk about you. They're just going to talk even worse about you.
Right.
And Jalen Hurts got that big contract in the offseason. So you know that's going to be a point of contention with a lot of fans and even people on the outside, even if they're just looking to ridicule him.
Yeah, and you mentioned they went up against a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
That defense used to be almost stifling. What's going on with the defense?
I just have no idea. The
most disappointing thing I would say if I were an Eagles fan was the Cowboys got punked. We had a chance to extend the lead, pretty much sew things up, wrap up the division, and then they go out and lay an egg.
And all 4 teams in the NFC East have lost. All 4 teams lost this weekend. I thought this was one of the better divisions in football, at least top heavy. I mean, the Giants made it a little bit more interesting, but it looks like at least Philadelphia going into next week's game in the confines of Lincoln Financial will end the losing streak, at least on paper, because they do have the Giants. And Tommy DeVito, I think, is coming down to earth a little bit. And the playoffs are still in play for Philadelphia. Obviously, they're not out of the playoffs, but the desperation probably ends next Sunday. But regardless, the whole NFC East lost, and they all looked bad doing it. I mean, this bad situation.
What was the result of DeVito's the hit he took?
I don't know.
It was just a big shot he had to shake off.
I don't know what the extent of it is. I just know that even if he is playing, they're probably the Giants just aren't that good. DeVito's been playing very well, but you know how it goes with these players.
Right.
Who probably
I'm just curious.
Oh, I don't even know. I haven't even kept an update on him.
When I saw the hit, it was like he threw his arms to the side like he was shot or something. he took a shot. Movie. Yeah, he took a big shot.
But wow, I mean, I just think that he's a solid quarterback. We don't know anything about him really continuing to play the way he is.
Right.
He just
got to ride that horse until he breaks down.
Right, exactly. And now you still have Daniel Jones out there, and you signed him to that big money contract, which I don't think he deserves, but that's the going rate for quarterbacks, even mediocre quarterbacks like Daniel Jones. But Tommy DeVito being in there right now, coming from Illinois, we know his story now because he happens to be in a New York market, which is the number 1 market. So it's going to get a little bit more fluff than it probably even deserves. And when was the last quarterback to come out of Illinois that even made a splash? Jeff George? Bruh, we talking Jeff George.
Yeah, but did he actually make a splash? I mean, he was drafted number 1.
Yeah, he was drafted number 1.
I don't know if he ever made a splash.
You know what? He made a splash only because we waited all these years for him to finally reach that potential because he always is on the precipice of it, but then he kind of just didn't do it. We knew about the arm strength. We knew about all these so-called intangibles. It never translated to real wins or wins of consequence. And well, the consequence was losing when you had him. And so, I mean, but Illinois is not known for those quarterbacks. But either way, Tommy DeVito playing against Philadelphia. I think going back to your original question about what happened to their defense, Javon Hargraves, man, and the inside. I think
he's been gone all season. It's not like he just left 4 weeks ago.
No, and that's true. And
they were still a good defense earlier this season.
Yeah, they did make this trip to the West Coast, which is always a problem, that 3-hour difference, because being on the East Coast and West Coast, always a problem with the travel with NFL teams and even NBA teams when it happens. And I still think, their defense just hasn't been the same, because we haven't talked a lot about their pass rush this season like we did last season. Last season, they were just chasing dudes around like cops, But Javon Hargraves not being there, losing those 11 sacks, I believe, that he had last year.
But then again, Jalen Carter's no slouch.
No, he's no slouch, but he needed him. I mean, those guys worked well together. But
Jalen Carter's a rookie.
He's a rookie. Jalen Carter's a rookie. Yeah, one from Georgia, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying that these guys would work well together. If Javon Hargraves was still there, these guys would work a lot better together. I think once he's gone, he's a big piece of that. You can have a rookie that's doing well, but he's not playing the way Javon Hargraves as a veteran player for as long as he's played, has been there and doing the work he's done. I still can't even figure out why Javon Hargraves is on his third team.
That's another question.
Yeah, no,
I mean, answer too.
I'm serious. I'm like just thinking the Pittsburgh Steelers had him, then the Philadelphia Eagles had him.
Doesn't seem like there are any issues in San Francisco.
Oh no, I just don't know why, man. He asked for money, and you look at the market, he's not going crazy with his demands, and he's not there. He's still not there. He moves on to the next team, and he just got this huge contract with the San Francisco 49ers, and you wonder if he's going to be on that team long term. I mean, that baffled me. It doesn't have anything to do with what we were talking about. I'm just wondering how the heck is this guy?
It could be the 49ers offered him more, and he went for the money.
Yeah, it's probably true, but Philadelphia had this guy in place with a Super Bowl run. You would like to believe that you're adding Carter, and then you also have all the other guys from the previous season that had already proven themselves. Having him there would have absolutely. He put up Warren Sapp numbers from the interior. That does nothing but help you. But they're different Eagles team this year defensively, and Jalen Hurts not looking consistent at all, reminding me a little bit of what Trevor Lawrence is doing when he was putting up mediocre numbers, but the team was still winning. Now that it's coming down to the stretch, it's not enough. Throwing less than 150 yards, throwing 2 picks, you came close to winning, but no cigar.
Right. They have some work to do. They have to figure it out and quickly, because the end of the season's coming up, and they could get bounced in the first game, even if they wrap up the division. The way they're playing right now, they're vulnerable. So they got to figure out what the issues are and get them corrected.
The onus is on Jalen Hurts. Come on now. You get that kind of money, you're the quarterback of this team. It's on you. The defense can do what it does or not do what it does. The onus is on you. You're the name of the franchise, the face of the franchise, and you got that huge money because they believe in you with the franchise. You have the A side and B side of it, and there's good and bad. The bad part is you got to actually play for that money. And now things are looking good now that it matters. People are all happy in the first 5-6 games. If you're going undefeated, Philly fans all over you, and they're always lauding you. But when things are starting to matter and you're losing to division foes, when they start losing to division foes or a team like Seattle, you're not supposed against a backup
quarterback.
Yeah, you're not supposed to lose to a team like that with so much on the line, trying to prevent yourself from losing that third game in a row and trying to at least get a one-up on the Cowboys who lost themselves the day before.
That's true. So we'll see what happens in the weeks to come.
Yeah, it's just an absolute mess what's going on with them right now. But I don't, man. I mean, they're playing the Giants. So I think for all intents and purposes, that's kind of a get well soon card for them. I think they can actually beat the Giants because I still believe even with Tommy DeVito playing as well as he is or has, they don't beat Philadelphia. Not in Philadelphia. It's going to be tough for him.
They shouldn't. You would think they wouldn't, but it's the NFL any given Sunday.
Yeah, of course, grown men. Hey, look at yesterday, Sunday. The Carolina Panthers beat the Atlanta Falcons. It's not like the Falcons are world beaters, but the Panthers shoot just a couple of games, or not even a couple of games. Now it's just a couple of games won, but they're just a few steps ahead of a national champion college team, it seems. And they were able to beat the Atlanta Falcons. And you look at that NFC, the NFC South, and Tampa Bay's leading it. It's one of the most mediocre divisions in all of football right now. Reminds me of that NFC West from years ago when the Seattle Seahawks were below 500 and was getting the freaking home field.
Right. Home game for being the division champs.
Exactly. So, and then people's like, the rules have to change because of it. And I'm like, nah, keep the rules the way they are. It sucks that happens, but it doesn't happen often to where, a team with a better record and has done more throughout the season is going to feel slighted. You know what? Win your division. You're both.
If they did it 4 years in a row with
that's when you have to make a rule change.
Right.
Change the rules. And another piece of news. Well, surprise, surprise. Aaron Rodgers now says, well, I'm not 100%. Now, was that contingent on the Jets winning or looking good against Miami? And obviously, they did not look good. They lost 30-0 because the story was if they would have beaten the Miami Dolphins, and if you look at the rest of the schedule, it's winnable based on Zach Wilson playing the way he played to get the win the week before. Obviously, that's not happening. But come on, man. I thought it was a bunch of nonsense anyway, just throwing things out there. He was
Balderdash.
Who?
Balderdash.
I just don't I just don't think that he was never ready. He was never
right.
Dudes that are younger aren't coming back from that, regardless of what kind of revolutionary surgery he had on his Achilles that supposed to have sped up the process. It just wasn't going to happen. And with that Jets offensive line, you have five turnstiles and an old man back there. He's going to be in the same spot he was in game one.
Well, we don't know what he was like in game one. He only lasted 2 plays.
Well, there was a coin toss. I saw him with an American flag, so we saw more of all of that stuff than we did of anything that had to do with football.
I thought he said he's going to play beyond next year also, something like that.
Yeah, he says he wants to play beyond.
He just needs to focus on next year, if you ask me.
Now, whether it's with the Jets or not, I don't know. He just says he wants to play. The Jets would like to have him, and I think that's still contingent on what happens next season, though.
So we were touching on the draft and draft positioning. So right now, your Jets are positioned behind the Bears at number 6. They have the same record, but Bears are ahead of them. Should they draft a quarterback?
You know what? I'm afraid to get a quarterback in the first round, but Jaden Daniels, man, I don't want to ruin this guy if he comes to the Jets. The good thing about him is that he can move around. Zach Wilson was supposed to have been able to move around, but if the offensive line is that big of an issue, it's going to be faster than anything Jaden Daniels have seen in the football, even in the SEC, which in most people's opinions is closest to the NFL as you're going to get. He's not going to be able to get away from those guys with any consistency. So, man, I just wish there was someone that we could just find in like the second round or third round that the pressure won't be on immediately, that he could come in and just kind of develop, and maybe in midseason, however much development he's going to need, just come in and see what he can do and move from there.
What about Penix?
Man, okay. See, the thing, Penix is a left-handed quarterback. So that means now you got to have your right tackle.
Automatically cut it from the list.
No, it's your right tackle now. You look at your right tackle covering your blind side now instead of your left tackle. I know you can shift guys around, but I like having guys at their original position and they're dominant at that position if they're going to be there. But yeah, Michael Penix, am I complete? You know what? He's from Illinois before he transferred. So that might have been the guy. But I'm just thinking that Michael Penix, is he going to be a good NFL quarterback? I've seen him throw some dimes, man. And I'm not going to say I've seen him throw some dimes. Then I've seen him throw some bad balls. He didn't throw a lot of bad balls this year. He just didn't, where the interceptions are just bad plays. He didn't do a lot of that this year. So, yeah, it's an interesting pick. I just think another way of saying it is I'm not completely sold on him right now. Jaden Daniels, absolutely sold on him, but I don't want to hurt his career. I want him to be a CJ Stroud.
Hopefully Ryan Poles will snatch him off the board before he gets to you.
Yeah, you know what? That would be good for you all. But then there's problems there because Justin Fields is already there. And, the controversy is going to start. And first of all, if you're taking you're taking a quarterback that early anyway and still have Justin Fields in your team, that's already a problem you're asking for.
Possibly, but they can pick up Fields for one more year. He's the starter. If he sucks after week 4, see ya.
Yeah, you could probably make it one of those San Diego situations where they had Drew Brees and then they had Phillip Rivers. Drew Brees didn't play that well initially, then he started picking it up.
I mean, the Patriots had Garoppolo.
Yeah,
And they traded him because Brady wasn't falling off that cliff. They're like, oh, we're good with Brady. And
well, I think that was a good thing because Garoppolo isn't.
I don't believe Justin Fields is going to turn it around and be that guy. So
Man, I was hoping.
But do I want to throw Jaden Daniels right into the fire immediately?
You know what, though?
I don't know if I want to do that. So that's why I say keep Fields one more year and groom Daniels to replace him.
Wow. You know how bad that quarterback room is going to be, knowing you're bringing in an early first-round pick to replace.
They don't have to know that. I mean, if Justin Fields is going to pout and whine and be a little bitch about it, that's on him.
Oh, yeah, they're not going to do it.
If he's going to be like, you know what, you draft this dude, I'm going to go out and ball out. And he's a man about it and goes out there and kills it, well, that's great. Go out there and kill it.
Just being the first pick, just going that early in the draft, these guys taking that early in the first round aren't meant to sit down and watch. Most of those guys are brought in to throw them into the fire. And now CJ Stroud doesn't make it any easier for these guys. Everybody wants their CJ Stroud. They want to see those results or get to the conclusion faster than not. To see how
I know it's a copycat league, but
it is.
You can't. But GMs and coaches, they can't allow other teams and franchises to dictate their situations, or they should.
You know what, though? But they do it. And the deal is, do you think your GM and your coach is going to get fired? Or is it just the
GM's coach? He's not going anywhere.
All right, so if the GM is there, that's one thing. If the GM and the coach is getting fired, they're going to get a mulligan anyway, so they can throw him out there. You know what I mean? Even the head coach, if he comes in, they can throw him out there because you're not going to fire him after one season. You know what I mean? Like Frank Reich did down there in Carolina. Maybe they will in the middle of a season. But, yeah, it's doubtful.
I mean, if they draft Jaden Daniels and it lights a fire under Justin Fields and he goes out there and he ups his game, that's a win-win situation.
It is. And it makes
But here's the thing. They say he's the first to practice. He's the last to leave the film room. Like, he's doing the work.
Fields. He's putting in the work.
He's putting in the work. You're just not seeing the results. Yeah, you see a flash here, a flash there. But 19 for 40 on Sunday, I know it was the Browns, but 19 for 40?
19. Oh, that's under 50% earlier. I thought.
Right, 19 for, well, that's because there were 2 drops. Okay, big 2 drops. 21 for 40.
Man, well, but at the same time, too, it works out for everyone because if he does play well and you still have your first round pick in Jaden Daniels, you get value for Justin Fields because you're going to have to trade him. You can't have both of them on a roster long term at all. So you'll be able to get something for Justin and then still be able to have your guy go in and see if he can grow.
If Justin Fields turns into a Pro Bowler, well, then you don't need Jaden Daniels.
But you don't pick up a guy in the first round that soon and just get your value off the first guy that was there. I think they would rather get their value off of Justin Fields, trade him, get what they can from him. And if it's a first rounder or a second rounder, that's still a premium. If he does ball out like that, he's a premium pick.
If they draft Daniels, and hopefully they get Marvin Harrison Jr. first, if he declares, we'll have to wait and see on that. But if in practice it's clear that Daniels is outperforming Fields, that's when you make the trade.
Yeah.
Before the season, before you put Fields out there and he fails, because then you're not going to get jack shit for him.
Yeah, and that's true too. Because I go back to even when Bill Belichick had Drew Bledsoe and you had Tom Brady. They're both in the quarterback room and you're watching practice all the time and you don't put Tom Brady in. Drew Bledsoe wasn't bad, but he wasn't Tom Brady. He just wasn't. And all this time,
it was Tom Brady. They didn't know Tom Brady.
But I'm saying, but Bill Belichick knew more than we knew watching practice and watching film and knowing what these guys were doing together. And then we only got a chance to see Tom Brady when Drew Bledsoe went down. And that's how we get Tom Brady. So it didn't just happen like that he just ended up going to a game, lights were on, and he just became Tom Brady and eventually the Hall of Fame career that he has. You had to have seen something in practice on a consistent basis to know, okay, if Drew goes down, we do have a guy. I think you put this guy in because there were games, I believe, that Drew Bledsoe was pretty mediocre. It wouldn't have been a bad idea to see what we have with this 5th rounder. So, but either way, Tom became who the hell he became. But I'm thinking that Justin Fields, getting back to that, you get value from him, trade him, get a second rounder, third rounder, multiple draft picks. And if Jaden Daniels is the talent that we think he can be, you have that as well. You'll be in the same situation in San Diego. They had Phillip Rivers, they let go Drew Brees. It worked out for everybody.
So let me just share my thoughts on Justin Fields, if they haven't been clear over the last few weeks. I've already made my decision that he's not the guy. Mm-hmm. But I said I'm gonna keep an open mind. If he performs well against the tough ass Browns defense, the team that sacked him 9 times 2 years ago, then I have to rethink. But he didn't perform well. Yeah, he threw a long pass, the guy dropped it. That's one play. One play. Even we count the 2 drops. He's still 21 for 40 for like 125 yards.
Man. And then the running part, because he runs.
Just to compare, Josh Allen completed 7 passes for, I think, 85 yards, 94 yards, something like that. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields completed 19 passes for 125.
But he doesn't have the element of running.
He more than doubled but still, it's a passing league.
Yeah, it is.
And you can't run yourself to a Super Bowl. Kaepernick tried it. Didn't happen. Jalen Hurts tried it last year. Didn't happen.
Steve Young is the only one.
Yeah, I won't even say that he ran.
He was a runner. People know, Steve Young.
He was, but in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs.
Oh, not in the Super Bowl, but
he wasn't running for 140 yards. He was passing.
Yeah, he was passing, and he was able to run when he had his opportunities, and he was a heck of a damn runner when he did it. We've seen Steve McNair try to be that kind of guy.
All you got to do to stop Justin Fields running the ball is your end set the edge. If he can't get outside, where is he going? That's what the Ravens did to Kaepernick in the Super Bowl. Dumbass Skip Bayless is telling Terrell Suggs, "You didn't do nothing. You didn't do nothing." Oh, man, Suggs shut down the outside every play. Kaepernick did not get around him one time. That was his job. That was his job. So it's easy to stop a running quarterback. Where you get in trouble is if you
have the players.
If you play man to man, and you don't have a spy.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about just running. That's scrambling. Scrambling is different. But just running plays, even RPOs, you shut down the edges. Where's he going? To a pile of bodies.
You better have the players who can do it, though, because you can have a team like the Carolina Panthers, have someone setting the edge, and they just get outrun. That's it. That's what's going to happen to those mediocre teams. You have to have players who are out there who can get them, even though these are the best of the best anyways. You need those top-end NFL players who can keep a guy like Lamar Jackson, who's been doing a lot of the same things year after year after year. Every year he concentrates on his passing, and he looks like he's going to finally do it. But he always goes back to who he really is, which is a running quarterback, pretty much a running back that throws the ball. But it's been working for him now. And this year may be the first time that it may get him to a Super Bowl. But we also have seen him play well in the regular season. And then when the postseason comes, it's like he's never seen a football before. I mean, it's crazy how it goes with that one game that he just comes in. He's like freaking Clayton Kershaw in a World Series.
But to finish my thought on Justin Fields, so I gave him another chance, and he did not. To me, he failed the test. But the main reason I moved off of Justin Fields was the turnovers, whether it's interceptions or fumbles. Like, he's always giving up the ball. You can't be successful in the NFL giving up the ball.
Oh, absolutely not.
That's why I'm done with Justin Fields. He failed the test on Sunday. I don't care what he does these next couple of weeks. I'm done with him.
So, yeah, Jaden Daniels may be the answer. I'm just looking at the dissension it may cause inside the locker room.
I'm just afraid the Bears would take Caleb Williams number 1. We don't need no divas in Chicago.
Man, yeah. That wasn't one of the teams on his list, was it? That he didn't want to go to?
It wasn't.
Yeah, so he'll be willing to go. And
but when he made that list, they were still undefeated, and he was throwing for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards, and things changed.
No one's listening to him. Come on, man. Hang it up. But now, sticking with that football, Jerry Jones was talking about how much he was happy about the Philadelphia Eagles losing. I mean, not necessarily saying that, but he was like, he couldn't sleep. He couldn't sleep because of it.
was
He
so
was pretty
happy.
happy, and he's happy about it. Obviously, he needed to be happy. If you have any investment in your team, you're the owner,
Mhm.
and everybody else in the NFC East have lost, and you know your biggest opponent in the NFC East right now on paper and record-wise are the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, you're happy because you know you got away with one.
That's an odd comment to make, though, because was he able to sleep after the Cowboys got punked?
That's
He
probably
shouldn't
why
have
he
been
was up.
able to. He shouldn't have been able to sleep Sunday night after that
He tried to
beatdown.
sleep it off. It's like a hangover, I guess, with the Cowboys. But with this one here, he was wide awake. So, I mean, Jerry Jones trying to add a little bit of his flavor to what's going on in the NFL season as things are, hell, they've been heated up. So I'm not going to say like they're just getting heated up, but
Coming down the stretch.
down the stretch. And, you know, we're going back. The NFL starts again like it's been all year Thursday, but the Saturday games are back and the Sunday games are back. And then the Monday games, football galore just from the NFL mixed in with some of these bigger bowl games that are now starting to happen as Christmas is coming up. But yeah, man, the NFL is definitely lit right now. San Francisco, if you had a power ranking, number one of that power ranking, who's number two though? When the whole NFC East has lost, who?
I say Ravens.
But the Ravens would be number two. Well, those would be the two teams that we thought would go to the Super Bowl, or that I
Utah.
thought they were going. You had Cincinnati. You know,
Mhm.
we couldn't see under
The
normal
way
circumstances.
Brown is playing, I
That's
don't
what I'm
think the
about to say.
Bengals are too far behind. They might be like 5 or 6.
Yeah, Jake.
And climbing.
If Browning can continue playing like this, wow. I mean, now he's not going to beat out Joe Burrow when Joe Burrow does get back next season, but he's also another trading piece you could have.
Exactly.
Another trade piece add to the team because Cincinnati can use those draft picks or a player and draft, but typically it's going to be draft picks. But
A
yeah,
lot of teams need a good quarterback out there.
A lot of mess going on right now in the NFL because when we were talking about the MVP race yesterday, it's still, if you're looking at the quarterbacks, because there's typically quarterbacks there all the time, Brock Purdy, and you still have Dak Prescott was there as a 1 and 2 in terms of the quarterback. I mean, when you put up those kinds of numbers and you're still 10 and 4, man. I mean, seriously, if you have all those touchdowns and you're guiding a 10 and 4 team, that one loss doesn't get you out of the conversation, you know. And what happens if he just wins out the rest of the season? Then he's back in the conversation. But I still think Brock Purdy wins as it stands right now. Christian McCaffrey, another one you can split it with. But in terms of the power poll, the top two teams, San Francisco, Baltimore, number 3, I don't know. It's like a coin toss. You just flip a coin. Because normally if you knew if the top one was San Francisco, if you knew the second was Baltimore, your logic would have said, well, Kansas City, it should be 1 or 2, but definitely 3. And that's not them either.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Buffalo.
Maybe Buffalo. Yeah, that's it.
See, Buffalo is schizophrenic, man. One week they'll blast you. Next week they're doing things. You wonder what the heck is going on. Then the next week they're blasting you again. But this is that time of year, especially at home, where the advantage really is an advantage for them with the weather and the way that, you know, Josh Allen coming from Wyoming, so the weather's nothing for him. He could just go out there and play his game. And that's what he's doing. So maybe they found some stability as a team. And James Cook, after he just did some cooking on Sunday, maybe he's that guy that can probably carry the load along with Josh and Stephon Diggs still out there.
If Buffalo's line is going to block like that,
huh?
If Buffalo's line is going to block like that, they will be tough to beat.
Yeah, they will be tough to beat in the AFC because they would get their match if they dealt with a team like San Francisco, who has that defensive line that can do whatever they want to do. But yeah, the NFL looks hot, and it's good. You know, they talked about the parity in the NFL and that there aren't any great teams anymore. They're typically just good teams. But I think that, you know, you still have those top 2 teams. But do you think what team could be the disruptor? Is it still just Buffalo, or do you see something in Mahomes to where it's time for him to turn the switch on? It's not him turning the switch on; it's the freaking receivers catching the ball.
Right now, I don't see anybody in the NFC. I mean, you know how I feel about the Lions.
Yeah.
The Cowboys and Eagles, I don't think they measure up to the 49ers. So I think it's Super Bowl or bust for the 49ers.
Yeah.
And the AFC, who, you know, those division rivals, the Browns with Joe Flacco, you know, throwing dimes. I know he had 2 interceptions, maybe.
Yeah, 3.
When things mattered, then that's what I say all the time. Don't tell me what you did. Tell me when you did it. Yeah, he threw 3 interceptions, okay? But in the fourth quarter, he threw for over 200 yards.
Yeah,
And to
when the
go ahead,
game mattered, he just
yeah.
lit it up. And
So it could be the Browns. It could be the Bengals with Browning.
all this is what you're
Or it
saying. You didn't
be
mention
the
the
Bills.
Jaguars at all, who was like the darlings just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Bro,
I was about to say one team I won't mention is the Jaguars.
unbelievable how things have changed, but have they
They
really
they
changed?
they probably still win their division, but I don't think they're a threat.
I don't know if they win in the division because there's a 3-way tie right now.
I'm just
And
saying they could.
CJ Stroud is out, but they still won without him. And now they won with Case Keenum at quarterback. And now when Stroud gets back, you're thinking he's not really hitting that freshman wall. And you're thinking that he may pick up where he left off, possibly. But, man, they've just been tough. And I tell you what, the sneakiest team of them all is Indianapolis with Gardner Minshew, who I've been touting from the very beginning as being the best backup in the NFL, not just overall talent-wise, just because he's one of those people who knows his role and he embraces that role. And he's doing for what's better, what's good for the team, and not just looking for all these stats on his own. He just got out there playing the way Gardner's played when he was here in Jacksonville, and now he's doing a lot of the same things in Indianapolis and getting results, huge results. They weren't expecting this. They were expecting a little bit of a fallback because Anthony Richardson was a rookie, and you're not really expecting that much. You just hope he develops.
Another team that could pose problems is the Dolphins.
Oh,
let's say the Dolphins take the opening drive, they go down and score, and then the Ravens have a turnover, and it's 14-0.
Yep.
It might be tough. It'll be real tough for the Ravens to beat them in a shootout like that. That's what happened a few years ago when they lost to the Titans. There's a turnover here. Before they knew it, they were down 21-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I believe.
Put yourself in a hole. But those Miami Dolphins, we talked about it throughout the season of how they're front runners and how they only beat teams that were 500 or less. They finally beat a team that had 500 record. But I think it's going to get to that point now that it really matters, that they're going to be able to they can compete. The offense is not the issue. It's not even like the defense is an issue. It's the turnovers that become an issue when they do come. But
that's why I'm saying it has to fall right for them. They take the opening drive and score. They get a turnover, they score again. If they don't score on the opening drive, now it's a dogfight, right?
Yep.
But if they're able to score, like that builds their confidence. Like, hey, we scored on them. The best defense in the league, people say. So it just depends on how things play out.
So what team do you
I still think the Ravens are number one.
Oh, the Ravens, yeah. You have the Ravens in the AFC as number one. You have San Francisco, in my opinion, in the NFC. But what is that team you think that's out there that's not that brand name team? Of course, Kansas City is the brand name team of late because they've been winning Super Bowls. But who's that team that you think, like the Giants, that weren't supposed to win, the wild card Giants that just gets in there, gets hot at the right time, and they can't be stopped? I think Indianapolis can be that kind of a team.
It's possible.
It's craziness with Gardner Minshew. But, yeah, I think they can be that kind of a team.
CJ Stroud comes back, maybe Houston can be that team.
Yeah, Houston could be that team, but then do you feel good about a rookie being now in that situation? He surprised the hell out of us throughout the regular season, man, and just put up numbers that even Dan Marino wasn't putting up at the same time when he was a rookie. And now it's really mattering. You know what I mean? He's getting into the postseason, or he's going to get to the postseason. If he gets there, is the moment too big for him then? I mean, we've seen Lamar Jackson screw up in that moment.
One way to find out. There's only one way to find out.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But he comes from a big time program in Ohio State.
That's true. He's seen bigger audiences.
He's been on big stages before. I don't think his makeup allowed to fold underneath the pressure.
Man, I'm just thinking that, okay, yeah, and that's true. I can see that happening. I'm just thinking that, man, because Lamar Jackson, man, same thing. He looked good in the regular season, and even still, I can't say to this day because the season isn't over, but in the recent memory in the playoffs, he just hasn't played.
He's been missing the playoffs the last couple of years.
Getting injured, yeah.
But when he has played, back then, they were pretty much a running team. Like, he wasn't the passer then that he is now.
You got to deliberately run the ball so he does, because I don't think they have the confidence believing that he could win with his arm at this point in his career.
But he's a better passer now than he was.
A much better passer. That's what I'm thinking. That's why I can't wait for the playoffs. And when he's in the playoffs, Does he put up that 200+ yard game, or is he still running for 175 yards, 150 yards passing and losing? You know what I mean? I hope that's not the case, at least for his sake.
Yeah,
People are still disrespecting him. I still can't believe how
I don't see why the offense would revert back to their archaic running game that they had a few years ago.
You said why they would or would it?
Why would they? Right.
Yeah, well, he could
I mean, if he's throwing passes 8 yards over the receiver's heads, then I guess they have to run the ball. But
and the playoffs just makes you do something like that, do things like that. But yeah, I think that this year, I'm pretty curious about how he's now going to perform after all of these years. You would think that things have changed, but as you said, he's a better passer now. So you expected him to kind of be able to handle the moment. It shouldn't be that big of an issue as it is. Well, college football, we mentioned a little bit of that. We talked about Dylan Raiola going to Nebraska. You have a lot of surprised Georgia fans out there, so surprised that I've heard stories of Kirby Smart talking to the Atlanta Falcons. And that's why some of these recruits are like, you know what? He's not going to be there. That's why we go to other places. Where did they get that information from? That's what I'm wondering. I've seen this. Is this a thing?
Probably Nick Saban.
You know what? Recruiting-wise, they would come with some nonsense.
They've had a lot of people enter the transfer portal too.
Yeah, and this is one of the teams that did not have people entering the transfer portal. And Kirby Smart, he was always talking about how Georgia doesn't necessarily go to the transfer portal either. Now, Dabo Swinney wasn't going at all. Georgia was very limited in what they did with the transfer portal. Now they're going to have to go into the transfer portal
because they're losing guys.
Now, at the same time, Dylan Raiola, the story goes, is he wanted to see what was going to happen with Carson Beck. Really? After one season, which I think was a fairly mediocre season for Carson Beck, he's going to leave to the NFL. That if he's as a good businessman, who the hell is telling him to leave after last season? You leave if you have your opportunity. In his case, coming from Georgia, if you have an opportunity as a first-round draft pick or even second round, that's something you probably think about. But if you know you can hone your skills for another season, and maybe if you do better than what you did the previous season, you know you have the weapons, that gives you an opportunity at a first-round pick, that's what you do. So why would someone think that he's going to leave after that first year, which is his junior year, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the situation. I don't know exactly why Dylan flipped. Who knows if it's a competition thing? I really can't say. But I do know his family has strong ties to Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
And it could have been like, you know what? Maybe he just wasn't feeling it.
He's a legacy kid. I mean, that's typically what happens when you're a legacy kid. We've heard about it.
His uncle's a coach on the team. He's gonna have family there.
He's at home.
Right. And his dad, I'm sure, is good. They moved to Georgia for him. They'll move to Lincoln for him.
Exactly. And come on, look, I'm wondering why some of these Georgia fans are surprised about what's going on with him flipping, because he was committed to Georgia for some time. And I thought he would go because Georgia was. But then you look at what he's done in his history. This guy's transferred from high school to high school all the time and ending up in Georgia finally. So why would you think that his days of jumping around from school to school was going to end just because he said he wanted to come to Georgia? And in this case, there was nothing on the dotted line to commit him to Georgia. You know what I mean? And even then, in this day and age, the transfer portal is still going to be there. So if you don't like your freshman year, you'll be somewhere else in your sophomore year. And
right.
So
there's nothing that says he's going to be at Nebraska for 3 years.
That's the truth, too. And it's absolutely insane. There's a lot I like about the transfer portal because it really sticks the knife into these coaches who lied to these kids for all these years and left to go to other schools and stuck them there. And they weren't in the system with the new coach that they wanted to be on, and they didn't thrive, and they could directly blame the coach for it. But then there's things like this to where year after year after year, you just go to 3 different schools like DJ Ukulele is doing up there from Oregon State, from Clemson to Oregon State, now possibly Florida State, since he's talking so well about Florida State right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there may be changes to the transfer portal.
It has to be.
There's just so much movement, man. Like you mentioned, guy transferred last year. It didn't work out. I'm gonna transfer again. I'm sure it's great. You go 4 years of college, four different colleges. You make new friends and you see new things. When you leave, your network is huge. But as far as all of the entering the transfer portal year after year after year. I don't think that's a good thing for college football.
And I'm wondering for coaches in the NFL who evaluate these players, is that going to be a problem for them? And I mean it by this: in the past, when you saw a player transform because he probably you normally thought he doesn't want to compete. I don't want a guy like that on my team. You know what I mean? I used to say the same thing about Joe Flacco when he went to Pittsburgh and he had to compete against Tyler Palko and he lost the battle. So he transferred to Delaware. He became a first round pick because he put up those numbers against lesser talent. I wondered, hey, does he not have that competitive nature? But he's one of those guys that went to the NFL, got himself for a Super Bowl, still in the NFL all these years later. Tyler Palko was nothing. You know?
Came off the couch.
You know what I'm saying? So, and this guy was able to come off the couch and do a good job this past Sunday. But now you're in a situation to where so many people are doing it to where you just can't point out this guy's leaving because he doesn't want to compete with this guy. You can legitimately say this guy doesn't want to be here because he probably doesn't like this coach. But then now you have a disgruntled player who possibly won't like any coach. You know what I mean? They're just going from place to place to place to place.
But as far as Georgia and Raiola are concerned, it's not like Beck was tearing it up. You know, he wasn't no Heisman candidate.
Nope.
You know, it's not if he was committed to, I don't know, a school with the sophomore who was killing it. Let's say Jaden Daniels was a sophomore, not going pro. I could see the competition. I thought he was going to go pro. Or he's not going pro. Well, let me go look. But Carson Beck, what did he really do?
But I've only seen
to scare off recruits. That's what I'm saying.
I've only seen videos and clips of Dylan Raiola. I hadn't watched the whole game with him, and the difference between playing any level of football he's playing on and going to the SEC, not only to the SEC, but going to Georgia and then trying to compete on that level, not even night and day. It's a very dark night, a very bright day. There's so much difference between what he's doing in high school to playing in the SEC. And usually the SEC is the most competitive and has the most talent in terms of being a conference. And I've seen other players, in my opinion, players that I have watched that do, whether clips or actually watch, like Chris Leak years ago, who came out of Independence High School, won just as much as Dylan Raiola, threw the prettiest ball to this day I've ever seen in a high school or even college. And then he comes to Florida. He's not playing the way you thought his game would transition over because the talent level is so high. He's not doing that well. Kyle Wright was another one of those guys who came from California to the Miami Hurricanes. Didn't look that good. You know, and he wasn't starting in his true freshman year. But Chris Leak did come out in his true freshman year. Carson Beck, for how bad he may have looked and how much he might have improved, that's so much further ahead than what Dylan's going to have to deal with when he comes through the door. The only quarterback of recent memory that I remember that could come straight out of high school and started looking well, and he came in just like Dylan's going to do early and rolling, is Tua. When he came from Hawaii to Alabama, I was saying, put the guy in. He's Kevin Jalen Hurts right now.
I'm not disputing Beck's way ahead of him. What I'm saying is I don't think he did anything to scare off any recruits.
Well, you know what? In this age where the egos are that big, these recruits want that shot at the first start. They want that shot on the first day. They want to know that somewhere throughout the season, I'm going to get in there and do something. You know what I mean? And they don't just want garbage time. And I think he believes, from what I can see from Carson Beck right now, he's going to be just another guy. Stetson Bennett was so much better. And of course, he had the experience, but this guy's been in the program for 3 years. And he still looked the way he looked. And you're still on eggshells watching him play from week to week. And then he started getting better, but there was, once again, that missing ingredient. What the hell is missing with this guy? I think Dylan Raiola, he wants his opportunity sooner than later. And that's just not going to happen now when we go in there with a senior next season with Carson Beck. So now you're talking about a senior and a true freshman. And Kirby Smart being loyal to his players who've been in the program, you have that element.
Right. We'll see.
That's
Moving
all
on. Ja comes back.
Who?
Ja.
Oh, yeah. Ja comes back. Yeah. And of course, they said they're not going to unleash him. You can't unleash him. This dude will be tired before halftime.
Probably.
Coming back against the Pelicans, too. Number 1 pick, number 2 pick, same draft.
We got the Dubs and Celtics tonight also. Celtics, they should win by more than 10 if you ask me.
Where's it at?
You never know. That's a good question. I'm
If
not sure.
it's in Boston,
If it's in
Boston
Boston,
hasn't lost at home.
if it's in Boston, they may have already started.
If so, Boston, man, forget about it. You know what I mean? Because Boston
You
hasn't
never
lost at
know.
home.
But I have a coworker. She's a Celtics fan. I asked her
Yeah.
about the game tonight. She's like, you know what? All the games you think they're gonna win, they struggle. I said, probably they think the same thing. Oh, we should win. We should beat these guys. So they don't play up to their potential, probably.
Yeah, but at least being at home though, actually, it's going to be in Golden State. It's going to be in Oakland.
Is it?
Yeah. So hey, there's a chance. There's a chance. But Draymond is the missing ingredient. Get out of here. But the Celtics are still favored 4.5 in this game. So no surprise
They
though.
should be.
Exactly. There's no surprise. I don't know why people are still thinking about the Warriors from a few years ago as opposed to the ones you're dealing with right now. You know, an aging team and now injuries.
They are 2-1 since they benched Wiggins.
Since my man got his counseling, they're 2-1. So let's see how they continue to go.
No, they benched Wiggins.
Oh, yeah, they benched him? Oh, yeah, but yeah, he's coming off the bench, though.
He's coming off the bench, yeah. And he's saying it's something new to him. He's not used to it. He's got to adjust.
Bro, embrace your role.
Gotta go out. Man, just go out there and ball out, dude.
Give him a reason. You know, Tyler Hero was on the freaking bench as a sixth man.
You gave Kerr a reason to bench you. Now give him a reason to put you back in the lineup.
Yeah, because you were effective once upon a time in recent memory in that role when you were starting.
Yeah. The one thing is he would left towards the end of the season last year, remember? And they never said what it was. It was just personal issues.
Oh, man, sound like Derrick Rose when he had that nonsense going on with the family.
Is he not over that? I don't know.
Man, you know, we never really know specifically about these players. You know, you just follow these players and you think that they just live in the limelight and do their thing, and then you hear a story like that, you don't think it's that serious. But I remember when Derrick Rose was going through what he had gone through, and he had those family issues, and he just walked out of the Knicks, and I knew the Knicks fans was through with him. But then, you know, it was relatively serious, obviously, you know, so I think it might have been a mental health issue as well. And he ended up getting back in, you know, they kind of act like nothing happened, but
it's probably the Knicks who
the Knicks are a mental health issue.
Yeah, who messed up his state of mind.
Maybe his family was cursing him out when he got home playing for the Knicks. Yo, bro, we don't like this. But yeah, let's go back to Ja. I mean, what exactly are you expecting from Ja Morant tonight? You have the number 1 pick, and Zion Williamson, and the number 2 pick, huh?
Right. Is he going to start?
You know what? I don't know if he's going to start. Come off the bench, man.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to.
He's been going for 25 games.
I'm gonna have to watch. Yeah, he should have been practicing with the team, though.
I mean, you're practicing with the team, but game time is completely different.
No, I know that. I'm just saying he should be in some sort of shape.
Yo, yeah, he's in shape. I think he's in shape. I mean, he's known for playing, you know, pickup games anyway. So I mean, under contract, I don't know how the contract is structured. Some of these contracts say you can't go out and play those games because of the risk of some knucklehead just doing something stupid to you at the YMCA. But
does he have the love of the game clause in his contract?
You know, I don't know. I wish I did. Love of the game clause. That's what Jordan had, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was ill. But you know what? Hey, you see some dudes just picking up, you driving by, how about it? Kind of like that Larry Bird and Magic commercial when they pull up in the limo. But yeah, man. Hey, look, I was on that job bandwagon. Anybody who knows me know that was my dude from college. Even when he got to the NBA, I was all over it, man. But this stuff that he did off the court, I'm not one of these Karen types that's like on this soapbox about what he should and shouldn't do. But these are things that are pretty damn obvious. And hey, I reserve the right to say, bro, I don't want to deal with somebody like that. You know what I mean? We're not related. But yeah, I just feel bad that it ended up going like that. Hopefully he still has the career that's in store for him. He doesn't have any major injuries. He showed the talent that he's had.
Well, let's hope that maybe in 4 or 5 years, you know, he's all NBA, whatever, gets the Grizzlies deep into the playoffs. I don't see a championship in their near future, but
yeah,
people be like, man, you remember when Ja had those issues years ago?
I hope it is like that.
That's the conversation you want to have.
Yeah, that's certainly a conversation I'd like to have about once upon a time, but look how he changed right now. And he can talk, you know what, he may have even more of an influence on people by doing that than he does right now as the top player. We know him as being a talented player. But man, I was just hanging on to this guy because I was like, this is AI right here. And AI is that's my guy. Patrick Ewing and AI, my two damn guys. So when I saw Ja coming in, I was like, yo, that's AI right there. I mean, not completely, but close enough. And that's why I was all over that game like that. And he's helped out in a few occasions. But now I hope he does have that kind of an NBA career, continue to do something, possibly win a championship, hopefully ends his career with one team, which is probably not likely this day and age in NBA, getting more different.
Yeah, I don't know. He may want to leave Memphis. Like I said from the beginning, I think his issues are from Memphis, the Memphis mentality, the whoop that trick culture.
Really? I mean, the outside culture, this South Carolina guy coming to Memphis and adopting their culture.
Right.
That's no surprise.
Everything he does is like he's from Memphis. Trying to fit in with people from Memphis. He's not from Memphis. He's a prep boy from
South Carolina guy.
Yeah, just be yourself, John.
Yeah, it's so much. It should be just as easy said as done, and they make it so much more difficult. I don't know why. I don't know what the pressure of money would make you want to go to do something that's worse than what you've ever had. I don't know how. Usually the money is supposed to make things better. You're making things worse than they've ever been. But right now they're playing. I'm looking at it. The Grizzlies down just 12-11 in the early going, of course. And Jaren Jackson's leading the scoring right now. So I haven't looked at the stat sheet to see if Ja's even playing yet. And yeah, he's out there. He got 3 points already. So
let's wrap it up so I can go watch.
Okay. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Yeah, he's on the bench. He's not on the bench apparently in the first couple of minutes of the game. So yeah, man, he's biased. I'm Trav. There's basketball going on.
See you tomorrow.
Adios. Ja's about to show something. Peace.
We'll see.